Back on the Chamber Report, time now for our member profile segment. This is an opportunity for you to find out who some of the 600 members of the Anoka Area Chamber of Commerce are. I have known this guy for a long time. His name is Ted VerLee. He is the Vice President of Commercial Lending at North American Banking Company. Mr. VerLee, how are you?
I'm good.
All right, so tell us about North American Banking Company. You guys joined within the last year, so I bet people out there are like, well, I've heard the name, I need to know more.
Yep. It's a locally owned community bank, 6 locations. I'm in the newest location in Maple Grove, right off of Hemlock and Elm Creek Parkway. It says the address is Arbor Lakes, but if you know where Starbucks is, we're kind of close to them.
Yep.
They're about $1.3 billion in assets. The other locations are 50th in France, Roseville's the headquarters, Shoreview, Hastings, and Woodbury. So we kind of dot around the cities. I've been there about a year. I got to say I'm thoroughly impressed. Every week we have a credit meeting, and every week I'm even more impressed with what I see, what we can do.
Great. So there are a lot of banks in the Twin Cities, as Ted, I'm sure you know. What makes North American Banking Company unique?
One of the things I've noticed is they kind of punch above their weight. They have a pretty good size lending limit that can handle just about any size company that comes in, obviously not corporate or anything, but
Sure.
it's a good size there. And then they have this a nuance to the bank where they have a high payment volume business. So they're the 28th largest. We are the 28th largest financial institution originator of ACHs in the country.
Really?
Which not too many community banks can say.
Right.
And that's what I mean by they kind of punch above their weight.
Yep.
And then the lenders, the leaders that started it wanted to bring back sort of a personalized service. I call it the warm and fuzzies. They want to make sure we're comfortable with them, they're comfortable
Sure.
with us. If you go into our branches, there's not a significant amount of traffic because most of our customers are business owners or the owners of the business or employees. So that's kind of a difference too. We also have the same amount of technology that I've seen from some of the larger nationals. We also have our own peer-to-peer site called XCheck, similar to ones out there now. And then we also have a lot of the treasury management or cash management services that the big guys have. And then thirdly, we're locally owned, we're locally operated. The 2 guys that started it are still running it now. They started it in 1998. They're extremely well connected. They're extremely good credit folks. And their decisions are made by them, local people who live here, instead of Texas or Montana or
Sure.
wherever.
Right. How do you work with business owners?
The things we focus on is know your goals or know their goals and help them get to those goals. I always say the client has to trust and like your banker, and all 9 of us have been in the seat a long time. So we've seen a lot of things. That brings about the trust, and then hopefully you like us. That's kind of one thing I go after. We are consultants. We have your best interest in mind. If we don't think it's a good idea, we're going to tell you. So that's probably the main piece there.
You know, I saw an article on your site that you wrote where you talked about how the structure of a loan is more important than the rate. Talk a little bit about that.
So oftentimes, everybody focuses on rate. The first thing they come into an office,
Sure.
They just say, what's your rate on a commercial loan? And I would say it's kind of like walking into a car dealer and go, what's a car cost? You know, every loan is different, every borrower is different, collateral is different. We speak bank because we work at a bank, but business owners don't speak bank.
Right.
So that's kind of their first question. And I always say structure is much more important than rate. Like, if no one's going to do your loan, but I will, do you really care what the rate is?
Right.
And that's kind of what SBA came from. And if you can dig in and find nuances of the deal, then the structure is typically much more important than rate. It's important. I mean, it's the second or third thing. But in my 30-plus years of doing this, I always say, well, we don't know what the rate's going to be until we kind of dig into the deal a little bit.
So what types of businesses do you work with?
Pretty much everything, industrial, manufacturing, professional services, so dentists and docs, real estate, nonprofit. We tend to have the more established businesses that are kind of sick of the corporate bank cultures.
Mm-hmm.
That tends to be what we end up getting, but that's probably what our niche is.
So what's the best advice you can give any business owner out there? You've been doing this a long time.
Yeah. I always say you got to find a good banker, a good lawyer, and a good CPA. If you can get your financials up to a high-quality statement, especially if you're going to sell, that's always really good. So I'm always talking about a review or an audit, just because it cleans up a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Some of my customers also use a peer group, so they'll find other, it's almost competitors, but then they can compare notes as to how they're doing things versus how somebody else is doing it. And then I always tell an owner, figure out what you are, what type of owner you are. Are you a financial owner? Are you an operator? Or are you a dreamer? Most people are operators, so they've wanted to start something, so they just started it and they know how to operate it. Some of them are financial, so they kind of dig into the numbers more than the operations. Some are both. And then the third one is dreamer. There's fewer of those, but they just have ideas.
Yeah.
And then they don't know how to operate it, and they don't know how to finance,
Yeah.
or they don't know how to keep track of it.
Yeah.
And every so often I run into a dreamer, and you're just like, okay, we gotta rein you in here.
Yeah.
But as long as they know that, and they can go out and get a financial person and an operator, then they tend to be more successful.
Exactly. All right, Ted, we got some people out there that want to talk to you. How do they get a hold of you?
So our website is nabankco.com. My email address is tverlee@nabankco.com. And my office is 763-334-5069.
He is Ted VerLee. He is Vice President of Commercial Lending at North American Banking Company. Ted, great to have you on the show. Thank you so much for being a part of the Chamber. And hey, if you have questions, service is what this guy is made of. And no question is not worth asking. Ask it. That's how this whole thing starts, is you start the conversation and you surround yourself with the people that can help you get the answers and make the decisions that you need for your business. Ted, thank you so much, and
Thank you.
come back down the road sometime in 25. Let's talk and get an update on how things are going.
All right, will do.
That's great. All right, we're taking a break. When we come back, more of Member Profiles coming up here on the Chamber Report.